Hello there. This is The Right Stuff. Today I've got Mr. Vonster from Rise Again Comics. So anyway,
I'm coming back, baby. Stronger
Yeah.
than ever.
yeah, you seem to have a kind of I don't know, aesthetic there, you know. Let's see.
Definitely.
Monster MD, Terror in the Trenches. I'm seeing a little bit of a kind of
horror vibe.
a little tiny bit of one, yeah.
A little bit. Well,
Anyway.
when you grow up in the greatest era for horror ever, the 1980s.
Oh yes, yeah.
And it just doesn't. I mean, maybe the 70s is arguable too. It's great. That's pretty great. But like, I love the 80s, and it's stuck. I loved Elvira. I loved all that stuff. So yeah, that's how I roll.
She disappointed a little bit in the last few weeks.
Oh God, yes. I'm beyond disappointed. I've unfollowed her on everything. I mean, I can't support artists who try to hurt other artists' expression like that. Our job is to defend it, not try to shut it down.
That's surprising to me because she has this whole with all the attempts to like get her to put less of a bustier on,
right. They've been trying to censor her since the beginning in the 80s, right?
Right.
I'm sure she's got great stories.
Yeah, exactly.
And she should know better to not be like those Karens of the 80s. She should be, anyway.
Right.
I'm disappointed. But
what's that? Was that live long enough to become the villain?
That's right, man.
That's happened a lot. That has happened a lot.
What a premonition. What a premonition. Sadly.
I keep quoting that lately. It's like, oh, you're anti-war. Oh, you're this or that. Oh, suddenly you're pro-government. Oh, okay.
Crazy times.
Yeah. It's like I was telling somebody, I was like, they were never against the war. They were always against the Republican Party.
Yeah.
They were always partisan the whole way because every time the Vietnam War went through several presidential terms, and every time a Democrat was in office, they shut their mouths and they stopped producing content. It's like Rage Against the Machine has always raged against only one side of the machine.
Look, man, when you're far left, I mean, it's just all about you having power and everything. If you understand that everything they do at the end is so that they can have power over it, then you understand them very well. And that's been happening more than just our expression. It's happening everywhere. It's happening with, anyway, it's really political stuff. I won't get too into it. But I will say this. These are dark times, and dark times call for dark heroes.
Yes, they do. This
to step out of the shadows.
Segue, yes.
There you go.
I see what you did there.
Working with me.
You're getting smoother at this. All right.
I don't know.
Soon you don't have your own show. That's pretty impressive. Hey,
when you're on the campaign trail, man.
Right.
Aim to kill.
There you go. Have you ever thought about getting your own YouTube show or?
Yeah, I dream about YouTube all the time, but I don't. My computer is a bit old now. And so I've had way too many crashing software issues with my video editor. Maybe if I found like a better video editor, but it's just hard to find one that's cheap and like powerful and can do what I want it to do. And I found one that like, it's crashing. My computer's, I don't know. Maybe I can update my computer and all my problems will go away and I'll do more YouTube. But I'm starting to just pull out my cell phone and film things and talk again lately. And I'm just kind of like fed up with stuff. So I might do some of those, and I don't have to edit those. I could just leave those sloppy and just get them up and communicate with you guys, and that would be cool. So maybe I'll do more of that. Been thinking about that. I'm just so like the things I'm seeing happening in our arts like really bothers me, man. I'm not that type of. I'm an artist, but I'm also like I love art history. I love analyzing where it is in our culture, and it's scary what's going on out there.
It is. By the way, there's been a few comments here. He likes Vaughn already. He's got a cat. All right.
Cheers. His name's Jasper.
Jasper. Hello. Greetings. Welcome to the show, Jasper. Belmont Press says that Elvira went woke right as her new comic was coming out.
Yeah. Ooh, how convenient. That's not marketing at all, I promise.
No. No.
People like her should be more wise. Like woke marketing may seem cool in the moment, or make you a little, or you're told that it's going to make you money. Right. It actually turns off a lot of people that you don't hear from very often, and they just quietly stop buying stuff.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, see, back in their day, being on the left made you cool, made you hip,
edgy,
and now it's like, hello, fellow kids, you know.
I am
I am part of the woke.
They're like,
I am the woke. You know?
It's time to have a conversation about race, and then they're like drinking the Coca-Cola. Oh, there's some Gatorade logos in there. Like it's all corporate sponsored, like leftism, you know. And it's
by the way, get the vax. It's crazy because Pfizer says so.
Just a bunch of socialists trying to trick us into thinking they're cool. Lame. You're never gonna be cool.
No.
Not in this country.
It's funny. It's funny, but they pushed the Overton window so far left that now conservatism has kind of moved into the cool window, and now like Gen Z is like making fun of millennials because Gen Z is so much more conservative than millennials because they're like rejecting all this.
The kids are smart, man. They always rebel, and that's something you can count on. And their parents are gonna be like, "You want another soy drink before you go?" No, Dad, shut up. I'm gonna go play football. Show up at the game, man. For once, you wimp.
Yeah,
it's great. It's great.
Right. My black friend Aaron, I'll just say black because this gives us perspective. He said they believe that the minority aren't on the left, so there's no need to consider them, aka they're bad at math and economics.
Definitely 100%.
They are extraordinarily bad. So anyway, I gave you this questionnaire earlier. This is kind of like the show. It's an interview show, and I tried to hold on, one more. This is Chris Hicks saying yo Buffalo. So okay. I guess that's his catchphrase. Anyway.
Cool.
My cheese bro, that's his thing. Anyway, and Woodrow. I saw Woodrow earlier. You're familiar with him. Akira Uni Comics.
Sweet. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, man.
Yeah, you've seen the art, man. The art is incredible.
Are you kidding me? I'm looking forward.
Well, I mean, a demon being shoved into an infant child, and it growing up with a demon spirit in it. It's kind of up your alley, so
it's definitely my style, man. I like that. I love that.
Anyway, I always give you a chance to give as much of your bio as you want to. I don't ask that you give any specific, information, just whatever you feel comfortable with.
I am Von Klaus. I am a artist from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I was born in Houston, Texas. I grew up in my parents were in their 30s. It was the 80s. Reagan was in office. My dad had just become a doctor. They had money, and they wanted to live far away from everyone and everything because they were hip and they were smart. And we lived in Norman, Oklahoma, in a kind of like in the middle of the country. Fields full of rattlesnakes and tarantulas and all the creepy stuff. Great creek in the backyard to play in, an awesome forest to run around and get lost in. imagine things in. And so I had this great, and my parents were young and wanted to be hip, so they like designed this really sweet designer house that was like just too cool for school. It was the 80s, everyone was partying, it was wild, the music was good, the times were good, the animations, the movies, everything.
And the cocaine flowed.
Oh my God.
The spice flowed. Yeah.
I don't even want to ask my dad what happened in terms of coke in the 80s, but that guy had a mullet and a mustache that would make Magnum PI blush, and like there must have been some coke.
Yeah,
on it
there's
anyway,
a distinct possibility. There's a distinct possibility.
Yeah. But I grew up in this house that was like this beautifully designed. You know, everything was about style and design, and I learned that it was important early on in life. And I think that's a big, like I tell you guys all this stuff because it's all about like how I create and like who I am as a creator. So, but my mom always gave me a love and curiosity and affinity for the macabre, horror, creepy things. I see creepy things every day. That's the way I see the world. So you see that in my work a lot. My dad gave me more of the taste for like high design and like, my mom always gave me a taste for like really cool designs, but like she collects things like old school Halloween decor, right? Like decorations that scare the hell out of you from the shelves. They're just so cool and creepy. My mom gave me a taste for that. My dad gave me more of like he pirated all the cool movies and let me watch like RoboCop and like Terminator and Predator and like these movies, like they really impacted me. Like I grew up loving Terminator 2 is like one of my all-time favorite things ever, you know, blew my mind that you could make a movie like that. And it made me want to create and tell stories. So yeah, so he gave me all he had like a great vinyl collection. So like while I was a kid, I just remember being on my knees, crawling around a lot, grabbing VHSs, shoving them in a big metal machine and laser discs and flipping them over and then playing his vinyls. And so because media was so physical then, right? You were just clicking and sitting there. You were just into it. You were moving it in. You were smelling it. You're pulling it out of the sleeves. You're putting it on. I had a Fisher Price record player too that I would listen to like Conan stories on that came along with like Conan comics. That was a big influence. So yeah, it's like the 80s, you're getting, when you're young like that, all these things hit and they influence you. And so all of that, I feel like as I work and I analyze my own work, I'm starting to see like how my roots influence that. I moved on growing up in Oklahoma, just doing a lot of art and being in a lot of rock bands and doing all of our posters, our flyers, our t-shirts. And that ended up being really cool. Am I going too long for the bio or should I?
Oh,
I can stop.
No, that's fine. That's
okay.
Fine.
Well, like that ended up being a big influence on me. Like I think I've been studying like rock t-shirt design and posters and loving them forever. And I'm obsessed a little even. And I think that comes out in my work as well. That rock and roll aspect and everything I do. Love for that. So yeah. You'll find that I design a lot of t-shirts that are on my little store on Crypto Fashion for Rise Again Comics. There's all kinds of cool, and it looks like people think you're in a metal band. They don't think, it's necessarily a comic book. So that's how I design. But yeah, I also got really into anime early on in the 80s too. And I think that's had an impact forever and always will be part of me in my work. So yeah, you combine all that stuff. I then like got, I went to like pre-med in college, did that. I've always liked making comics though. When I was 8 years old, I made my first comic and it was a trilogy and it was about it was Pistol Possum and Gang and his Radical Rabbit, Danger Dog adventures. And I don't know, man, every time I was doing stuff in life, I was making comics in the background. So I go to college, I'm in pre-med, I do that, but I'm always making comics and designing t-shirts and designing flyers for everyone more than I am. So I go into graphic design. That must be what I want to really do. But I'm always making comics like, oh, I'm not going to really do comics though. Like I'm always saying to myself, I'm not going to be good enough to do it professionally, even though I dreamed, of course, right? And I would sit there inking things for hours, designing characters. I have some pretty good art. Like it made me a pretty decent artist. The 90s comics, when that hit, I was there for that. Like Image, all of it. And I was sitting around like I loved Joe Maduria too back then. And I was sitting around inking him, like trying to ink and draw like him for a bit back then, I remember. And I had my Michael Turner phase in high school where I wanted to be like him and you try to ink like Michael Turner, So yeah, those were influences, all that great 90s stuff. And Jim Lee's X-Men. Okay.
We'll get into that in a minute.
Anyway,
oh, no problem.
Sorry.
I was wondering where the Bruce Timm on steroids aesthetic came from.
In high school and when I went into college, I had my Batman phase where I've always loved Batman since I was a kid, but I got way too into Batman. I bought the book Batman Animated, and Bruce Timm's design work in that forever changed how I look at design and character design.
Yeah, that's definitely influenced you heavily. You were talking about the comic with the record player inside of it. I got multiple ones of that. Did you get the Rankin and Bass Lord of the Rings?
I didn't.
You didn't? Oh, you didn't get the whip song? Oh, the whip song was the shit. Come on, man. Where there's a whip, there's a way. You know.
I gotta look this up now.
Oh,
sounds hilarious.
You need it. You need it. It's awesome.
Yes.
It's awesome. Best of the Lord of the Rings to me, even above Peter Jackson. But
right on.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. Yeah, it came out like a book form and everything. I love that. I got a picture book.
Those are special, man.
You know? Oh, they are. They are. Yeah. Rankin Bass back in the day, man. I mean, Silverhawks, Thundercats. I mean, they were doing some stuff.
Man, I love Silverhawks and I love Thundercats. Like that was that.
That like American kind of like
American sensibility and like the desire to sell toys meets Japanese quality animation to me as a kid was where it's at. Like that's what I want to do with my work in a way too. I think like achieve that beautiful grace between like Western sensibility with like some manga influence, or anime influence. That extra detail.
You're going to have to do action figures of the Terror in the Trenches crew. I mean, you're going to have to.
Everyone's demanding it. I mean, I have to do it. Would it be cool to do them kind of more Bruce Timm? Or I mean, I know Monica has told me one of my dreams is to design a character and draw like the full 3D view. I was like, all right, Monica, we may do this.
Right.
We're going to do it. Cool. What else could I say? I guess I could say that I've always been making comics, and then I finally hit with Monster MD. And I realized the thing that I love doing, I can actually do for a living.
So
definitely. That's where we're at.
Full disclosure, got it right here. What was the first writing you read that made you want to learn to write specifically?
I think it would have been Ray Bradbury, Illustrated Man.
Oh, hell yeah. There you go.
The way Bradbury strings a sentence together that makes your imagination ignite and it just brings so many, your senses come into it. And yet he tells these stories that are just like these, like dark, but beautiful and strange things that just kind of reveal more about what it is just to be human. Without being overbearing about it. It's more poetic like that, like capturing
he jeopardized
that kind of magic
children. He was not afraid to jeopardize children. That's the thing that really stood out about me is that when I read him as a kid, I was like, because there's a little bit of safety, when you read some people, because he's not going to do anything to the kid, but Roddenberry, man, those kids were in danger,
And there's another book I could show you that's kind of cool real quick, maybe. Let me see if I have it nearby here. Let's see. I don't want to take up too much time looking for it, so I might stop here in a sec. But yeah, there's this poetry book I have called The Wild Party, and it kind of made me want to become a writer early on but the comic writing, and just writing in general, like doing sci-fi, I definitely Ray Bradbury, but there's this there's this poetry book that tells a story from back in the 30s that's just so gritty and cool and stylish and fun. It makes you want to become a writer. It's so fun to read. When you read it every now and then, it gets your writer juices flow. It's a great book. It's called The Wild Party. Check it out. And it has great illustrations that come with it that are like really gritty and beautiful and kind of like retro. It's fun.
Yeah.
But that would make
I had a children's Bible that did that. So I had a children's Bible, and the illustrations were really horrific.
And, do you still have it?
My brother has it. He adopted 2 boys, and I gave it to him. Hopefully he still has it. If he doesn't, I will be a little upset. It's
Oh.
a, but yeah. So what do you feel like your strength is in your writing? What do you when you go back and you read your writing? What do you think? Dang, that I'm good at this.
When it all comes together to entertain me and make me chuckle, like some of the one-liners mixed with these strong visuals, and but it's more than that. It's when I get my real joy, when I'm like, damn. It's like when it all comes together and there's like there's extra resonance behind it that's kind of more human, or makes us think like back on other things that have happened before in the story, and we see the connections. Because like to me, when I'm writing at like full speed, like doing my best, like a lot of it's about making connections in ways that people wouldn't see otherwise, and then you're helping them see them in fun, playful, entertaining ways, if that makes sense. You're seeing how in Black Terror's book, you're seeing how like you're seeing how his past and his past mistakes are connecting to his present and like causing problems now. You're seeing, you're seeing how his fear is manifesting itself in a real way in the real world in a way. It's really interesting. And how that, and it's not like some big, it's never like some preachy commentary with me. It's always just more the like letting people enjoy the story while also it just will impact you harder, more emotionally. And if I can make that happen on a comic page, like I'm doing it right. And some of my favorite moments also are when 2 characters have such great banter and dialogue back and forth that it's like it wasn't even me writing
Dr.
it.
Black
it was
and
just
Skids.
Precisely.
Dr. Black and Skids. That's one of my favorites.
Oh God, that was so natural. I could just hear them. I was just like a court reporter listening to them fight, and I was just taking it down.
Yeah,
that's when you're writing at your best.
Right. How old is Skids? He doesn't really give off a.
He's
age,
17.
So he is an actual 17-year-old vampire.
Yeah,
or he's like the permanent 17-year-old vampire.
He's a permanent 17-year-old vampire.
Oh,
he's kind of an anti-Twilight. Like he's everything gross, and like he's in his hoodie, and he's a punk, and he's a drug dealer. He's a drug addict, and he's he's up to no good kind of character, and I love him, and people love him. So you're gonna see more of Skids.
Yeah, he's gonna be an asshole bumping around and screwing up forever, probably. I love that part. I love that part of the character. Spraying him with axe spray, that was hilarious. Because you stink, man, you stink.
Yeah. It's a fun book to
I'm gonna drain you, I love it. I'd say in Monster MD, the fact that Dr. Black thought that he was like on this permanent detour, and the moment he kind of came to the revelation once he was like confronted with his past, that I'm not on a detour. This is my life. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
And when he came to that realization, and he was willing to die for these guys, these monsters that he kind of had disdain for them at the beginning of the book in a way. But then he was doing stuff like playing charades with the Slender Man and doing some really things that was kind of very touching.
He was trying. He was trying to reach out, right? In his own his own crazy way. And then it all went to hell when the succubus comes in and just
Yeah. She kind of ruined everything.
Right. And he's just so much more fed up than ever. And then he loses hiding. It's that story really is my story personally with comics.
Oh, really? Right.
You just said it. Like I was almost like, it felt like I never gotten anywhere with comics, yet I kept making them and spending money working with all these artists, but I loved it. I was told by exes, like, you're never going to go anywhere with Monster MD, stuff like that.
I remember that.
So it's but like, I'm Dr. Black in that, like, I needed to accept I'm right where I need to be.
Yeah.
Like, this is who I am. This is what I do. I make comics and I love it, like, more than anything.
Well, I think all of us have like kind of like a renegotiation that has to take place in our lives, where we have these like goals that other people have pushed upon us, that we're like your doctorate, and things like that, and when we didn't achieve those goals, we kind of like feel like, well, I'm never going to get there. But then there's this realization that happens, is like, wait a second, where I am is where I'm supposed to be.
And that's a beautiful realization. You all the weight lifts off. You can actually stop worrying for half a second about that,
Yeah, right.
You have to understand, I spent a lot of my life. I'm 42. I've spent a lot of my life being like failing and always working on art and having so many disappointments. I could tell a million stories, of course, but like, you do start to question, like, where the hell am I? Like, you start to feel like I'm never going to be where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, right.
And then all of a sudden, man, you realize, no, man, like, this is where you're doing what you do. Yeah, you found what you love, and you're entertaining people with it, and that allows you to reconnect to the world. I didn't realize the connection part until recently. Right before I launched Black Terror, or Terror in the Trenches, I realized, like, damn, like, my work helps me feel connected to people in a world in which I otherwise don't have that many connections. So it really means a lot to me to do this.
Oh yeah. Is there a part of your writing ability you wish was stronger, that you're constantly feeling like you need to improve?
Man, you asked me this at a time when I feel like I'm at the top, like I'm better than I've ever been at writing, but that doesn't mean shit. Like, you're never going to get better if you don't find your weaknesses and admit them and figure out how to work on them. Let's see, what I'm having a lot of fun with. Okay, I think what I need to be careful with is my pacing. I need to like know when to take a breath and not make everyone just talky. I don't want to be too I can be kind of chatty. I'm a kid who grew up with like Tarantino like movies and like a love for those. But I don't think it's too much, because when you read the page, man, it's just awesome. But like, you know when to have a silent panel and take a breath, know when to slow the pacing down. The reader will appreciate it. And
sorry, my
that's awesome.
My roommate has a
Journey,
a very distinctive ringtone. So
Journey is going to be there. Yeah, to serenade you during those slow moments when you slow it down, guys.
Yeah,
just
I know.
Like a small town girl.
That's funny.
But I just, yeah. So I need to work on my pacing, because I need to figure out like how to transition into scenes better. Sometimes it's just that I love the bombastic nature of comics, where you're constantly surprising people too, though. So it's like, sometimes I don't want to slow down, man. I want to like you to turn the page and it's another crazy moment, another one. Isn't that the beauty of comics? So yeah, but yeah, I'm trying to gauge myself more on pacing for sure.
Oh, that's definitely I think especially with comics, because comics is such a I went from trying to go from novel writing into comics. If you go from screenwriting into comics, it's a lot easier because you're already kind of speaking the same language. But I never really understood just what a different medium novel writing is from comic script writing, and
totally,
it's been that's been a real challenge, because you have to figure out that whole pacing thing is such an issue.
Yeah, well, everything's an issue now. It's a different craft. It's a different medium. You're jumping into a whole new world, man. Prose writing is like, whatever I want, there it is. Comics is like, you need to create a blueprint for an art team to create a coherent, structured story that gives people an emotional response and feel, you know what I mean? And it's just, it's a craft. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because you're essentially putting together a slideshow, and it's got to tell a story. It's got to. You got to make sure that even if the dialogue is not there, people still know what's going on from image to image to image. And so you essentially have to go through all the pictures and pick out the ones that move it along and tell us your story.
And pick the best pictures is an art in and of itself. Right there, just right there is another. You have to find the strongest images that tell the story, and then you have to couple words with those pictures that also give that awesome impact. It's just crazy. It sounds so simple to people. They think it's just squares with picture, and then you try to do it yourself, and it's just like it's something else. It's crazy, man.
We've got a couple others here. Let me bring this up. Woodrow says that's a true writer. Realizing you have some things to work on. Shadowpunk says, excellent point. Vonster, connecting to others through your creative projects is a big deal.
It means a lot to me.
Aaron says, yes, pacing is a struggle for me too. That's feeling your pain. Arrogant Ape says, got to check out, but looking forward to the replay. See you. Okay, see you, Aaron. Arrogant. Vonster, this says Vaughn looks like, or Vaughn looks the villain from Rocketeer.
Is that Peter Timothy Dalton?
Yeah, Timothy Dalton, yeah.
I love Timothy Dalton.
I love him. He's
Flash
so
Gordon.
Awesome. He's so awesome.
Woo,
yeah,
he killed it. Deactivate the lightning field.
And I've told people for years I thought Timothy Dalton is the closest thing to James Bond, to the book James Bond, that they ever got.
Oh yeah,
because
my mom was like, "Ew, nah." I was like, "Whatever."
I know, because everybody's like, "Oh, he's not, he's not," but he's
well, they
like,
said his movies were too dark. I'm just like, don't tell me that.
I'm like, have you read the books?
I don't hear that.
License to Kill was a James Bond book movie. That was the James Bond, that bent on vengeance, excluding all else, and just that brutality. It was.
And I think the first Bond girl I ever saw in a Playboy was from that one, that Asian chick.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That'll get your puberty going. So, but yeah, man. Anyway, off topic. Yeah. I just, what else can I say? Like, my writing is a good story is what all I care about. Like, it's what my core of what everything I do is, and then everything I add on to that is from all my other previous experiences in life and jobs that I've had, from graphic design to running a cosplay online store to promoting, to web comic that I did of Monster MD. So there's all these things I've learned along the way that has kind of turned me into the kind of creator I am, and I embrace it. I like it. I like it that it turns out this way. I think it makes for some cool comics.
Yeah, you're definitely gonna have to do some cosplay costumes for Mandy to wear, with like Lady Satan. Mandy would look great as Lady Satan.
Yes, she would. She'd kill it. She'd make a great Detonetta as well. Also,
right.
Yeah, but we actually have some real life cosplay being made right now by you're gonna see it.
Oh, awesome.
Little red Valkyrie action perchance.
Oh, hello.
So so if you're ready to see my characters, you're gonna see her probably kill it.
Awesome. She's a heck of a cosplayer. She really sinks some money into it. So what is your book? Have you have a book that helped your writing?
Making books helps your writing. Like, make a bunch of quick stories and just do them and study that and figure it out, learn from it. But let's see. So my writing career is weird though, because like I was always writing as a kid and everyone was always like, oh yeah, like they were giving me awards and shit. I would write short stories like about horrifying shit instead of like doing science and stuff and I'd blow off school. But like the books that I actually started reading on writing was when I was in college, and it was for screenwriting. So what was cool about that time in my life was I was a little older when I went to college. I was like 26, 27. And I was there. I was like in it to win it. You're a little more disciplined when you're older. And so my focus was screenwriting, story. So like I started learning the brilliance of 3X structure, how to make it work, how to make it sting. Everything I write is just that. It's all 3X structure, but done in, of course, the most amazing, fun, crazy way we can. And tell the best story. So that was a cool time in my life where I was learning visual storytelling and film. I became kind of the local screenwriter nerd to go to do projects with. So I got to do some cool things. The school even produced one of my scripts and like shot that. But then that ended up being horrible because they assigned an SJW director to it who changed my script into a political thing. And that was like one of my first personal run-ins with like having your scripts altered and censored and having SJWs like turn your work into propaganda. So that was a big influence on me that got me to where I am now with Comicsgate and stuff. So
right.
And just also made me even more of a proponent for like free expression. And also just like I learned back then that like film is not for me. Like it's not my style. It's not how I create. So what are some books? Let's see. I've got like my bookshelf right here. Screenwriter's Bible. Imaginative writing was pretty good. The Hollywood Standard. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't get to it. No, I'm not going to recommend those though. Hold up. Like, those are for people who want to learn how to like please Hollywood with their writing. That's not what this is about. That's not what this is about. No. Books more like I liked Rebel Without a Crew by Robert Rodriguez was a nice read for like learning how to just make a movie on yourself with your own gear and just and he made El Mariachi and went on to do Desperado and good stuff. Yeah. And then let's see, Breakfast with Sharks. Akira Kurosawa, something like an autobiography, was pretty great too. Okay. But like, for writing, I'm sorry, I don't have better books. For me, writing is more about doing it yourself and then learning from that.
Yeah, so you're more of a guy who says, work on the car yourself, and and
yeah, I mean, definitely study other people's work. Like study other people's work, read comics and watch anime and like even things you don't think you're going to like that much to just ask yourself, like, how do they achieve this and this and that, And so you start becoming
that's one thing Stephen King talks about in own writing. Have you ever read that? Yeah.
Yes, I have.
But he talks about how he constantly runs across people who are trying to, like, how can I get my writing to be richer and stronger? Well, who do you read? Read?
Yeah.
I'm a writer.
Read.
So,
oh God.
No, you're supposed to read. You're supposed to read and absorb.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I look at it like a cook needs to have enough ingredients to make a dish, and a lot of people are trying to make a dish with just salt and pepper and a hunk of meat.
You're totally right. You're totally right. It's like the right ingredients too.
Right. Exactly.
It's not even just like a lot of ingredients. A lot of ingredients, if the cook isn't a master of combining them in the right ways with the right heat and the right timing and the right, then it doesn't taste good.
Exactly.
So it's like that's where the writing part comes in.
Oh, right. Exactly. This is a comment. For me, the story is about the characters. The character has to be emotionally relatable to the viewer or the reader, and it has to rise from that. There are different paths. Yeah, I agree with that. We actually had a little bit of a disagreement on Twitter one time. You said that it's the creating the world around the actual character is more. You follow that approach more than creating a world and then sticking characters into it.
But it doesn't matter though, because like whatever approach you want to use, like that works for you works, and like that's what I'm a proponent of.
Right.
Like I'm not here to judge people's methods, but unless it like keeps you from just being a good writer or doing what you need to do, that's when I'll like say things. But yeah, man, I've noticed with my work. I like for the Black Terror story, especially, like it all started with him, right? And then it all built off of him. So
right. Yeah, that's a very character centric story. That.
Well, he doesn't have much character
story, so,
in the other versions I've seen. There isn't much character to him over the years, different takes. So it's like, let's really give it to him.
There you go. See, very few people ever have the opportunity to actually see an IP and say, man, I wish I could do something with this character. And then you got an opportunity to do it. That's That's incredible. That's an incredible opportunity.
I mean, Golden Age characters, I mean, you can do it too. It's just that I don't recommend it because, like, it's such an uphill battle. People have seen those characters before who are comic fans, and they might not be into them. And so they might think, oh, another take on this one. It's very, and I totally get that perspective. I mean, I get it. It makes sense. And then there's the people who haven't seen it before. So they're like, well, it's not anyone I know. So why would I care? But for Black Terror, something was different. I felt like I could do a version so cool that it would show people like, wait a minute, there's potential here that we didn't see before. This is something special. This is something that's cooler than cool, So I think that's where I found the strength in this character. But it all had to start with the perfect story that made him, that told the ultimate Dark Avenger tale that I've wanted to tell since I was like 8.
Right. A couple more here.
Cool.
Very true. Easton Burkholder, plots and ideas are easy to connect with the character, but the characters connecting with the character is the challenge. And this one says
just put them through hell,
paths. Man. Yeah, exactly. There are different paths. The character has emotionally drawing the viewer to the reader. However, the writer accomplishes that the character needs to be complex.
It doesn't need to complex. It doesn't have to be complex. It's as simple as I want to survive this story. You know what I mean? And it can be like, and that's it. And like they have it's fun when you give them their little bit of their past and you can tie what's the struggle that's going on inside of them with the outside physical struggle that's going on too. That's a powerful tool that you can use. But just put them through hell.
Yeah.
And you will, and if you don't think you gave them enough hell, like what I'm catching myself doing lately in comic scripts is I do an awesome fight scene and then I go, nah, he wasn't beat up enough. I add 2 more pages of the hero getting his ass kind of whooped a little before he finally overcomes,
Right. So you remember when Die Hard first hit, right?
Oh yeah.
You remember I had never seen any, because when that movie first hit, it's kind of old hat now, but for him to like run across glass and actually bleed, and he's like pulling it, he's in this, pulling it out and throwing it in the sink, and you're hearing glass hit the sink.
Oof, and that was a brutal scene.
Yeah, but that was the first time I remember seeing a hero actually get hurt.
Yeah, really hurt.
Like really hurt and really bleeding, and you're like, oh crap, can this guy do it?
Yeah, and that movie took everyone off guard and blew minds, man.
Yeah, there was a sea change after that. You didn't have any more the Schwarzenegger Rambo kind of walking through bullets flying everywhere with unscathed.
Right.
That kind of became passe after that. You wanted somebody actually get shot or hurt. And
of course, I mean,
beat up a little bit.
Oh, definitely. Like but I do think that even like the cheesier movies of the 80s, like if you watch them, you'll notice that they pay much more attention to structure back then and like tried to actually tell a story where the hero had some hardship. And then finally at the end, yes, they walk in, it's a bloodbath, they just whoop everyone. That's kind of that was the fun style of the Schwarzenegger Rambo action, definitely. Yeah, but RoboCop, do you remember how nasty he got beat down? Oh man.
Oh yeah.
Nasty scene. Like things like that. I remember how in Schwarzenegger and Predator, like he was barely surviving that thing, man. He was running for it. Oh, it was great. Oh, yeah. Those were great. But yes, Die Hard was like
he didn't win in Predator.
Intimate level.
He didn't win. He cheated. He cheated.
He didn't win. He had to run for it and got nuked.
He did.
But yeah, the first time you saw Hero really like pulling out the glass, I mean, Die Hard changed everything. Yeah, and he was more of a regular guy.
He did.
He was more of a regular dude. That made it more compelling, actually.
Now, now I'll give credit to where credit is due. Rambo 2, the closing scene where he comes in and just shoots up the computer bank, and
that movie
and
rules.
Then jams the knife beside the guy's head and gives that speech. That was the whole movie. You can just kind of throw away the whole movie, but keep that scene. Because that scene was just gold. It was gold, man.
Remember, I'm coming for you, Murdoch. I'm coming for you, Murdoch. That movie. Do you know James Cameron wrote that?
Oh, he wrote it? Really? Oh, wow.
He wrote that.
I did not know that. I did not know that. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, he did. That's why it's good.
Cameron had some incredible movies.
Oh
The
God, he was.
Abyss
I
was
love. I
awesome.
watched that recently. That's a
No,
badass movie.
it is incredible. It's incredible.
It's so diverse by like today's nonsense standards. Like there's a black chick in a cowboy hat who's like their head pilot.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
What do you want? Like, movies have been diverse forever, guys. Get over it. Stop politicizing everything. It's true. Like, you watch Abyss. It's amazing. Anyway, but like, yeah, I studied him. Because I was when I walked out of Terminator 2 as a kid, I looked at my dad and said, "That is the best movie I've ever seen in my life." And
really?
I went, I became like a Terminator fanboy for like a half a minute. And but James Cameron's scripts are worth studying. That's something I could recommend doing too. Study screenplays. Right. And if you can get your hands on comic scripts, study those. When I was trying to learn about comic writing, I couldn't find very many resources online. It's not very good for that. But lately, these days, I've noticed it's easier to find people's scripts and stuff. But like, I'm usually disappointed by them. I'm like, what? That's all he wrote?
I downloaded a whole bunch of those when I was going to write my script, and I realized the one that I downloaded was from Brian Michael Bendis.
Oh God!
And the way I realized it was when he used a script from Kelly Sue DeConnick.
Yeah.
So here's a script by my friend Kelly Sue DeConnick, and I was like, wait a second now. I was like, delete.
Just riding those coattails. DeConnick. I don't know.
Oh,
no, I mean, I don't know. She's had a nice enough career, I'm sure. She's done all kinds of stuff. But like they're always.
I don't buy my comic girl. So
I read one of her scripts actually. I was very disappointed. Yeah, I forgot for what story it was for, but it sounded like kind of a teenager mean girl wrote it, and it was like. It was bad. It was bad. We'll just say that. Not
anybody can tell people, you don't like my politics, don't buy my comic. You know, it's like
her book was so. Even her descriptions, you have to understand. Like these comics are going to be drawn by somebody. They need to be having a good time while doing it, as much as you can help them to do it. So just you make your descriptions for the artist. It's a blueprint for them, and make them fun. Make them interesting for them in little ways. It don't make it too long, but like, I think that helps. At least I like to think so.
Right. I agree with you. I think one of the things that modern writers have kind of lost is the ability to let their characters tell them who they are.
Yes. It's difficult.
That seems to be the biggest problem. Is I see so many characters that are just shoehorned into something that they don't belong in.
They become a mouthpiece, a puppet for someone else and their ideology and what have you. And it's shameful. It's not being true to the character is not easy already. As a writer, it's our job to kind of get into this almost hypnotic state and go into the ether and like meet these characters and hang out with them and listen to them and believe them and understand how they see the world.
I call it being it's like Stephen King said, it's the pre-existing artifact. You're unearthing something that's pre-existing.
Right. Right. And then you bring it back to the people and entertain them with it. And so it's tough to do. I can't have any music on. Like I have to really like get into the right mode, and then later when I reread my script, if it doesn't sound like them, I can tell, I can hear it, and so I have to change it again. In a way, it's like acting, but I don't like thinking of acting. I like thinking of hanging out with the characters and listening to them, being true to them. And I always get the best writing from that. Like they always come up with the best lines and they also have more conflicts. Like when you write them from your perspective, it's like they're all so agreeable with each other instead of being like fun and bantery and having their own human conflicts. Even if you ever hang out with your friends, it's not always a smooth fucking ride. Sometimes there's like weird conflicts and like there's like things they can't want to talk about, things they don't want to talk about. We're humans, and we want that to come out in these characters, and that's part of how people will relate.
Well, I have a character in my book, and the book essentially is I stuck a bunch of people who shouldn't even be in the same room, and I stuck them in an
Yes.
impossible situation. And that's basically life or death. And the guy stuck in there with them is like the last person that they would ever listen to. And this guy over my shoulder actually. But he like represents like the man to them, you know, and he's trying to save them. And I got one guy who's kind of like Black Power kind of guy, you know.
Right.
And it drove me crazy when I was writing the script because he kept pushing back. And it's like, dude, this is you're gonna die if you don't listen to this guy. And he was still he was like, yeah, but I'm not gonna listen to anybody, even if I would rather die than have somebody order me, you know.
Right.
And
which is,
getting him to do what I wanted him to do, you know, was really hard, you know.
Right, because but look what it did. It added a dynamic of tension and conflict that keeps your story interesting, something that you're supposed to maintain. Like if you let your characters be themselves, then all these fun conflicts will arise that you don't have to plan out because they kind of do it for you. It's great.
Oh yeah. Did you read the Lucid?
Oh yes.
You remember the interviews at the back?
Yes.
He had that one character was like, I'm not. He had that old man, and that old man's like, I'm not going to listen. I'm not going to tell you anything. You know, who are you to question me? You know?
Was so good. That was so good.
I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah, good writing.
Yeah, I love that. Here we go. The best stories are the people who really are not fit in with each other people who try not to be together in the same place. I agree. Yep.
Well, I mean, we're a lot of us ourselves are outsiders. I mean, of course, we're writing for the other outsiders out there, and outsiders are more interesting. Yeah,
they are. They really are. See,
and every time you write a story about someone who's like the status quo, it's only interesting if they themselves are being like forced out of it, or like everything's getting ruined. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. Because then you get to see who they really are when things. It's like watching Justin Trudeau right now.
Oh God!
And it's just like somebody painted him in Joker regalia, saying the things that he's saying in Parliament right now, and it fit. It fit. It's like, oh my God, he's become a Batman villain. Oh my God, because he's not getting his way right now, and you're seeing all this nastiness come out of him, and it's like, this is who this guy really is.
Kindle fascism.
Exactly.
It's there's this that type of government is just like I love that America can hopefully watch this and learn this is what would happen if we put these people in power. Okay, they're little fascists at the end of the day who are ready to whip out the military to punish you for saying that we want to live our lives. Okay, because they know what's best for us and they know what safety is. We promise. Just keep going along with it. Just keep going. It's insane. How could we? This is not leadership. This is fascism. So.
Right, exactly.
That's my take.
Well, one thing about letting your characters lead you, and where they want to go, is the plot becomes so much more organic because you kind of have a destination in mind, but how you get there becomes so much more interesting. One thing about Monster MD, that a lesson that I learned from Monster MD is that I was kind of like suppressing some of my tendencies to let like character moments come into my script because I was kind of trying to keep things tight, trying to keep things on. But then I was like reading Monster MD, and I was like the fun thing, the things that I find the most fun are the things that are really pushing the narrative forward. It's these moments, these little moments along the way where he's trying to explain to the praying mantis lady that you bite your husband's head off, he's not coming back from that. I can't fix that. And then she's like, "Oh well, I guess he's dead. What are you doing?"
Yeah. You want to go out? That was such a 80s movie montage fun scene to write, and some people have actually come at me for that scene, and I'm cool. What any criticism's fine. Like, and they're like, why'd you do that? Like, it totally threw off the pace. And it kind of like seemed they didn't see like how in cool ways it connected to the story in fun ways again. For instance, Skids bites his monster arm during those scenes, and then later he gets a vampire power in his monster arm from Skids' bite. Like, that's important to the plot. Like, that's a big deal.
Exactly.
He's gonna have that forever.
Think it's a throwaway, right?
And then you go, oh, so it's supposed to be like you think it might be throwaway. It really isn't. There's those, that scene was important, like you said, because he's like connected in fun ways.
Right.
Well,
it
added to the lore.
Yeah, and like the whole race mythology that seemed kind of like a little bit of a throwaway, but became like integral to the plot later.
Right.
That was really important. Let me highlight this one. I also never got the whole let your character talk to you until I dove into my main protagonist, Takuru, and realized a few things not only about him but about myself. It was a trip.
One of the best things you can do is put if you have the luxury. This is a luxury for a lot of writers. If you're professional, you put it in a drawer and forget about it, and then come back later and read it.
Yeah,
you'll see not only see what it needs for editing and stuff a lot of times, but you'll be like, oh my god, what was I doing then? Oh, I was dating that chick. Oh, that's what this actually is about. Oh, I didn't even mean to write this. Like, it's this stunning revelation about yourself a lot of times, and that's a beautiful thing. That's something you get as an artist out of your work a lot of times. Like, oh, I wrote this whole script about this British butler with superpowers to make anything around him super sharp at any moment. His name's Jasper the Shank. And he was in love with this chick who ended up rigging everything so that she became Queen of England. And it turns out at the end, she was just using him the whole time and stabbed him through with a sword in the back. And he turns around and looks at her, and he makes the crown she's wearing like on its edges super sharp. And when she tries to pull it off, it like scalps her and kills her. And it's horrifying. And I remember like at that time I had broken up with this chick who like she had become so like queenly and like, you're going to do what I want. And I was so fed up, but we broke. And I didn't know I was writing the story about my own life when I wrote it. It happens all the time to writers. It's and you'll laugh at it then too. It's like, oh yeah, I was doing that. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, but the place that you come back from is really dark though. Sometimes
that's what the writing is. It's therapy.
Yeah,
for me too.
Well, I wrote. I realized that I was writing a lot of characters that because I had such a dramatic childhood, and I realized I was writing characters that basically were coming from a dark place and kind of not like it wasn't Hollywood ending. They weren't like reaching a place of nirvana or something, but they were getting to a place of accommodation with what had happened to them and what had happened to them in the past. Wow. And just a place of equilibrium was and I was kind of like realizing that in my writing I was essentially trying to bring myself to a place of equilibrium to where you never reach you never reach a place where you're completely at peace, but you reach a place where you're peaceful. And that was kind of a place that was kind of a journey I was kind of on. Just some of my best writing came out of it. Just
you were willing to be vulnerable to it, man, and look how it pays off. And look at how good you did for yourself. Like, that must have felt really good finishing that and being like, damn, this is some of my best work. And like, and I'm talking about myself in it without even trying. Like, that's when you know you're being honest as a writer, because honesty and vulnerability is a part of it, because when you are a writer, you like people even if they do like piss you off a lot too, like they do me. But like you like them, you want to entertain them first of all. Second of all, you want to write about a whole lot of different people and their interactions and their lives. And your stories should be the biggest, craziest shit that's ever happened to that character in their life so far, right? So that's you have to like them. So yeah, it becomes like this thing where like you learn to be okay with people through it, even if you stay away from them and hide inside all the time. And at the same, and then you end up learn to be okay with yourself and honest with yourself about what you've been through and they say, write what you know. It's not just writing what you know, man. Because if I did that, it wouldn't be very cool. Like I know cats or whatever. No, I don't really know, but like I have a cat. You know what I'm saying? No, what I know is that I want to take you away in an escapist fantasy adventure that you'll never forget. Like that's, but what I do along the way is I learn and I research all this cool stuff, and I do learn, and you do end up writing like some things that you know, and that's part of the fun of being a writer too, is like getting to learn all this cool, crazy shit about our world, and then use that in cool ways to tell stories.
When they say write what you know, I think it's also an invitation to learn.
Yeah.
Because as these challenges come up, you realize how much you don't know. Yeah. And then you have to learn it, you know, and you have to figure it out.
But then what you just said is so much more important, in my opinion, as a writer. What you connecting with, like writing in a more honest way, in a vulnerable way, that like you're, you know, and how you figured out more about yourself. That's writing what you know, but it's different. It's like writing what you've experienced, writing what you've, like, it's more than just knowledge. It's got emotions attached to it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. One of the things that
trauma.
Have you heard this narrative that anybody can write? So basically, if you just write your own script, and because the script doesn't really matter. Have you kind of heard that narrative?
Hold on. I hate to stop. Could I get back to you really quick on this? I'll be right back.
No problem. Okay. We'll shuffle walk for a few minutes. Okay. Let me get caught up on some stuff. We've got quite a group over here. Let me look at some of these previous things here. All right. All right, we'll go with this one here. Woodrow says, the way I've structured my scripts went from writing novels into panel descriptions to a few sentences. It's about learning what to leave out and what to keep. That's a really important thing. Eastland Burkholder says, or they feel like a game piece. I think he's talking characters. Move from this scene to this other place to the next scene. The characters know who they are and can tell you. Yeah, it's really important. The best stories are the people who really are not the fit in with each other people. They don't seem to be. They're trying to not seem like being in the same place. I agree. This one here. I love the Stargate dynamic. The archaeologist, the military boss, trying to keep everyone safe. It was fun to see the MacGyver actor say, "No, let's not bend the rules or do the risky thing." Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's clever. It's fun. Sorry about that. Yeah. Apologies.
No problem.
Didn't mean to throw you off there. You were talking about the narrative of anyone being able to just write something.
Right. Yeah. One thing that excited me about what you've accomplished in CG is the fact that you don't have a pro background. You know, you don't have a CV with actual pro comics into your name. You just essentially, you're a creation kind of Comicsgate. You know, your success is here. This is where you like broke through. This is where you've had your success, and it was for me, somebody that doesn't have a pro CV, doesn't have comics to my name or whatever, and don't have this pedigree, to have someone like come out of left field like you have, and just from the sheer perfection of the book you put out writing wise. You got all that back end sales, went over 100K from the back end sales, which meant that once the comic reached people's hands and they read it, they recommended it to other people, and that means more to me than somebody just getting all this front end loaded, with the pro background or the pro pedigree, and everybody's like, oh, this is a safe buy.
Which, I mean, that goes a long way, but I was, I don't know, what do they call that? The dark horse, the random underdog.
The unknown. The unknown quantity. Yeah.
I mean, everything I've done over the years got me prepared to do this the way I did it. And then Comicsgate was like the magic that helped, turn it into what it was, the phenomenon,
Right.
It was great. To get here took so much work and so much failing and so many stories that were made and then didn't go, and then me doing everything from screenwriting to graphic design to running my own personal website business in the past. All this crazy stuff I've done was great for preparing me for it. So it made me kind of a chimera of a creator. Like I'm able to promote my stuff. Like that's hard, man. Promotion's hard. And that's like an art in and of itself. But then again, I've run social media and done promotions for like big organizations in town. So it's like
your campaigns are next level.
Thanks,
your
man.
Campaigns are just absolutely works of art.
I try.
I bought Monster MD. Monster MD kind of got me into backing comics in Comicsgate. It was actually the very first one that I backed.
Yes.
It was
I knew you were cool.
Well, it was the one I looked at and I was like, I've got to have this. I got to see where this is going. The whole pin up with Heidi. I was like, I love this guy's sense of humor. The Invisible Girl, and she's this pin up. I love it.
What's gonna be better, right?
Sexy as hell, though. Oh my gosh, sexy. Less is more sometimes.
Let your imagination do the talking, and that's the brilliance of Heidi.
Right.
I love her.
But the thing that I kind of did a couple of shows about this, but what was really important to me was when watching that second campaign and seeing what people were really. The visuals are incredible and everything, but I was kind of watching for people to say, hey, Monster MD was so well written. This is why I'm buying this book, is because I'm sure this is going to be well written. And it's like if somebody has the writing ability, then in any project that you get from them is going to have a certain level guaranteed built in. Like Mike Barron, right? Yeah, Mike Barron writes across so many genres, and yet people, they see Mike Barron to get it, and automatically get it because they know there's a writing level there, and even if the art,
it's true, it's dependable.
It's dependable, exactly, and the writing aspect is where your dependability comes in.
I want to be like always making the best shit. Like I want to be a dependable writer you can hire. Or that I want it to be where people are like, oh, it's the next it's the next book by Vaughn. Right. I want it. Right. Like it's going to be cool. Like I want it to be that excitement, like an album dropping. I really do. And so I'm going for it. I think that's sustain. I think that's more way to sustain yourself.
Back in the day, like when Megadeth drops a new album, I scoop it up because of Dave Mustaine. I knew it was going to be Dave Mustaine. I knew. I kind of knew what I was going to get with that.
Right. I'm going for that, man. What else can I say though? It's it's like I want to prove that like remaining like true to good like classic storytelling goes a longer way than we've kind of forgotten that in our stories now, and I want to prove with my work like going back to that is going to make something awesome. It's something that people want to read forever, Otherwise, why do it? Like if you're not going to make the coolest thing ever.
This is Rick Saylor saying, "Hail T Bunny, hail Vonster."
Hail.
I promised you that I was only going to keep you an hour. So,
well, if you want to talk more, we can, but it's up to you.
Oh no, that's fine. I try to keep these about reasonable length so people rewatch.
Cool.
I see it go over an hour, and some of them are like, I'm not gonna click that. I don't have time. But
that's true. That's very true. Gotta be careful.
Well, so let you put me in the hot seat for a second. Is there something you want to ask me, or something that you wish I had asked you?
Oh no. I guess what could I ask you? I guess did my you've analyzed my work. I just want to say first of all, the way you are able to talk about Monster MD is more eloquent than I am.
I love it, man.
And you just you get it. And like, I didn't even know when I was writing Monster MD that it was kind of almost a metaphor for me accepting that I'm really just a comic artist. I'm not all this other stuff. I've tried to be a bouncer, a tea house manager, all this stuff. Like, I'm a comic, I'm a storyteller. Yeah. And I would just love it if by the time I die, someone's like, hey, he was a pretty good artist. He made some pretty cool books. I like them. That would be great. That would be awesome. But
before you die, let me just tell you right now, you write a good book.
Thank you. I do want to say that after writing Monster MD, I felt like I was I was better, and I was ready to do better. And writing this Black Terror script, this Terror in the Trenches, was like level up for me. I fell in love with comics even deeper, and I started to understand their power even more as as a craftsman. You're always trying to refine, and Black Terror is such a great character, and working with him and telling the story made me a better writer. You'll find, I think, in this work, my love for the splash page. There's a lot of them, and I started figuring out the power of them more and appreciating them more. And I think that's going to make my writing even more hard hitting. So, I just want to say, like, thank you for giving me that. I don't know. It just feels good to know that, like, a fan read it and they get into my work and they can appreciate it and understand it so much. So.
Oh, I'm geeking out right now. I'm really happy on.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you so much.
Awesome. I'll be standing at your table with the book. Please sign my book. Of course, you have to sign my book. I got the signed copy.
And Eric Weathers, baby. Double the signatures.
Well, I'll just say this about one thing that I think is a strength of yours is the ability to make the characters that should be the bad guys in other people's comics, and you made them like a family, and a squabbling, crazy, wacky family. But the whole scene at the end where they're gathered around Dr. Black, I teared up. Because
really,
because I mean, here's like people's nightmares, and they're sitting there and they're all like pensive and holding each other, and
there's a humanity to them that's very real.
There was,
and he needed that, right? Like, that was just what he needed to wake up to.
Exactly. That was like a realization that this is my life now, and this is a good life. This is not like this is not like something that I fell into because I had nowhere else to go. This is something that I'm choosing now.
And it's only as good as I make it, because it's not ideal. It's never perfect. It's not like it's perfect life. I mean, he's going to get eaten. They're going to try to eat him every now and then.
Yeah.
But there's something. It's something about knowing your place in the world and being able to embrace that. And
well, it's like I say about CG all the time. Everybody kind of expects this level of perfection out of CG. Like, oh, they're squabbling over there. They're, this person, they get along with this person. That like lessens the CG, or somehow, shape, or form. And I'm like, no, these are our people. These are our people. And no, we're not, because we're so diverse in our thoughts and in our feelings and in our backgrounds and things like that. Which is they say diversity is their strength on the left, but they have no diversity over there. We've got diversity here, because
so many cool creators and comics.
It's like my little microcosm group, my Genesis crew. We call ourselves a think tank. And we've got like Commie Mark in there,
Oh, hell yeah!
He's so great.
He's so great.
Oh, yeah, and
wouldn't be CG without him.
Well, we just have this diversity of thought, and everybody has a different perspective, and it's like I tell people all the time, CG is my people. Where else am I going to go?
Oh yeah, of course. My campaign wouldn't have been as good as it was without some tips from listening to my fellow CGers, art buddies who were like, "Hey, like try this, do this, do that." Like, and they were right. Like and especially when sometimes you need that. Yeah, it's great, man. What I like about it is like, I mean, I get why there's that expectation. Like, part of what drove us was those comics suck. We're going to make good ones. So there is this like, why haven't you written The Dark Knight Returns? You know, well, like I do approach it like I'm going to hit you with the best comic and story ever, and I do my best to make it as great as possible. So, what else can you do? I think everyone works their ass off to make the best comic they can. But not every comic's the same. It's always going to be interesting and different. So what I can say is that historians, I'm an art history nerd. I love the idea of how comic historians are going to have to deal with us. They're going to have to explain this. They might be SJWs and completely ignore it or just call us Nazis and move on. But if they're a real historian who's worth their salt, they're going to have to talk about this. So I love being a part of that. Like, this is such an honor. It's more exciting than just making indie comics.
We're a nice bull on the buttocks of comics, you know.
That's where the best comics come from, guys. The boil on the booty.
exactly.
The blemish on the butt.
Yeah. And at the same time, I think I keep telling people this. I'm like, where we're going to level up, where CG is going to really separate ourselves from the mainstream is in our writing, not our art. We've got the best artists in the world in CG.
Oh, hell yeah.
But Image had the greatest artist in the world, that first generation. And yet those books were so ephemeral, they didn't have any staying power. But where we're going to make our mark is in our writing and our art together in a hybrid.
100%. The power,
because they can't write in the mainstream. They are flawed from the very inception.
We are, as comic fans, we are art, like a fetishist / we're story whores. Like, we love, we're looking for the next story to satisfy us even for like 10 minutes. And like that and that combined is the most powerful thing ever. I mean, that's what my work has to be, or else I'm not doing it right. It has to. I believe that the longevity of your work is going to be in the story.
Oh yeah.
The art will still be like maybe beloved for, could be for, you could do that. But like, man, you want a story that people go, have you read this? Like years from when you're in the ground,
Well, I'll just point this out. The other day was the first time I saw a Rip Claw fan art. In maybe a decade. And I'm like, this is the guy that was supposed to be the Wolverine for Image Comics, but
I had forgotten about him.
Yeah, but because the writing wasn't there in his early Image books, he's been completely lost to history. He didn't make any impact in the world, and so I think there's more writing in Monster MD in the first 5 pages than probably all of Image and that first generation of books.
I got them all. I liked Spawn, but I get what you're saying though, because like you're right. I mean, if any of those heroes had the right core story, they'd have a lot more going on today. Definitely.
The only one that I even remember is Velocity, because she had this really cool character beat that she used her super speed to run away. And that was so unique, to speedsters. All the speedsters are like these like speed demon, headlong into danger. But it made sense that she was a coward, would use that power to run away from everything.
Yeah, that's great. Turn it on its head, you end up discovering fun things,
Exactly. And that was like the best written thing. Anyway, thank you for going along with me, man. I appreciate you coming on the show.
I appreciate it, man.
Hell of the chat. I had a really great chat tonight.
Love the fans.
Let me just highlight a couple more over here. Sailor says CG is our family and a place where we can make the world better. Agreed. And everyone sees CG how they see CG. To me, it's the sword and the shield for me to fight and take back my culture. Amen, brother. I got you. But anyway, so that has been The Right Stuff with Rise Again Comics. Vaughn and his beloved gigantic gray cat. What is that fella's name?
This is Jasper.
Jasper. Okay, Jasper. All right. Greetings, Jasper. All right. Anyway, thank you for coming. And on that note, y'all have a good night.
See you in the trenches, guys.